Okay, hello everyone. My name is Kelly Barber, and I was selected to do the first year research experience. And this is a project that I've been working on for most of the summer. So yeah, I'm very excited to explain it. This was my question. Does using African American Vernacular English or AAVE influence how students view its speakers? So here is my table of contents, and this is how I will be going over everything. First, I'm going to be doing my introduction, then I got my literature review right next to it. Then I have methods and then expected results. Okay, so African American Vernacular English, also known as AAVE, is highly stigmatized in the United States. People's attitudes towards English and its different variations differ based on who is speaking and is usually frowned upon if not spoken properly. This way of speaking is formally known as Standard English, but those not in academic spaces refer to it as Good English, and that is also like the standardized version that we learned in grade school. Many people have the stereotype of what English is supposed to look like, and anything that differs is described as bad English. Different definitions for bad English also include English that is not valued by the most powerful individuals in society. It can also be classified as a language used by marginalized or underprivileged populations or individuals. Or it could just be English speakers who are not fully fluent. But bad English usually coincides with the term othering, which means behavior or actions that alienate or classify people as outsiders, specifically as it relates to language. This term is important to understand why people think AAVE is improper. Speaking in this dialect creates a clear divide between the Black community and other cultures, causing many to think those who don't use proper English are uneducated or thuggish. And although this is all written out on paper, some people don't actually believe that this type of stuff happens in real life. But I do have a story that happened, I'd say like 2 months ago now. But my sister and we went to our neighbor's house to bake a cake. And while we were waiting for it to finish, we decided to catch up. So we sat down and we just talked with her. Basically, she was just asking us a bunch of questions, like, standard stuff, like, what are you guys doing? Like, what do you want to do after college? My sister went first. She was talking about how she was preparing to take the LSAT, and then she was going to head off to law school after she graduates next year. And then it was my turn. So I was just telling her about the research project. So this one that I had been doing for the summer. And she asked many questions. And at the very end of my spiel, she basically just went on to say how uh, AVE is ghetto. And it's like wrong to use it. My sister and I, as two Black women, we just shared very awkward glances at each other, and that was that. But she fully proved my point as to why this research is important. I mean, to this day, people still consider this dialect to be unprofessional, or in her words, ghetto. This is extremely harmful to college students because people are forced to code switch, and it also reinforces negative stereotypes. Even amongst the Black community, it's a well-known thing to speak properly in certain settings. For many people, it solidifies and makes you internalize racist or prejudicial rhetoric. Okay, so going to be going over the history now. African American vernacular English originally traces back to slavery and plantations. There weren't many English speakers on plantations, so they used universal grammar, which is the law-like rules and tendencies which apply to all natural human language. This played a large role in the making of a new language and is widely believed that that is how Gullah or Sea Islands Creole was formulated. A lot of the words that are used in AAVE come from like those languages or from West Africa. For racist and prejudicial reasons, this language is criticized, but was catapulted into the limelight in December of 1996 when controversy struck the Bay Area. The Oakland Unified School District decided to deem AAVE as Ebonics and called it a different language. They did this better to meet the needs of students in the area. Although there was a heavy backlash, the Linguistic Society of America unanimously passed a statement that supported their decision. Even with the support from this academic community, negative thoughts were still held towards this language, which subsequently impacted education. Teachers often have unjustifiably negative attitudes towards students who speak AAVE. This affects the grading processes and affects the students' learning abilities. These negative attitudes also affect graduation rates, and among minority college students, they continue to remain low. Less than 50% of African American college students attending colleges and universities graduate and receive an undergraduate degree. This is also in part to the inability of AAV speakers to effectively code switch from their home language to standard English and their lack of knowledge in the varieties of English. Until teachers can place their personal biases to the side, this issue will continue to plague academic communities. Okay, so outside of the classroom, there were still negative stigmas held to this language. Generally speaking, people are biased towards how others speak, especially if it is not seen as good English. Language scientist John Bow set out to prove this right by doing a series of tests. He called 3 different landlords, and Bow used different dialects each time. These dialects were Chicano, AAVE, and then Standard English. In more predominantly white areas, the landlords showed a bias against Bow's Chicano English and African American ways of speaking. On the other hand, traditionally African American neighborhoods, such as Oakland, showed a preference for Bow's African American voice. Okay, now on to the methods. The question now is, how can we test these questions about what the current landscape is for Black young adults and their view of AAVE? So in order to test this, we decided to create a survey in which we require participants to evaluate sentences and words of different kinds. The goal of these questions were meant to elicit perspectives and show positive or negative views of the variety. This is in line with previous sociolinguistics research focused on dialectology to discern how people are viewed. This survey consisted of 47 questions in 8 different sections. The population of interest for the research was college-age students, and we took demographic information regarding their different identities for future analysis. Okay, so my hypothesis was that people of this age group college students would be more accepting of the variety as evidenced by quantitative measures that are incorporated into the survey due to the prevalence of AAVE in today's culture, like in internet and like exposure to other cultures. It has become more recognized linguistically than in the past. As for our expected results, we are in the process of collecting the data as we've come into some bumps in the road with IRB, but we look forward to presenting our final results and discussion at the Undergrad Research Symposium in April. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy.